Hi geographers, we are looking at this handout CW4/4, okay, on variations in disaster risk. So you have learned the content already. What we're going to do is apply our learning into the questions behind, okay. So these practice questions behind, it allows us to apply our learning and deepen our learning, okay. So let's look at the question. Please make sure you show your analysis so that we know what your thinking process, okay. So first question, your given table which shows a comparison of earthquakes between Haiti and Christchurch, okay. So you have various factors here. You have distance from epicenter, you have the magnitude, you have the time of occurrence, you have the population density, how many people are there in 1 kilometer square, and then the casualty and damage, okay, how many people died, how many people homeless, and how many housing destroyed. All right, so you're supposed to use information from table 1. That means you must extract information from the table. You're supposed to explain the differences in disaster. Why is one more disastrous than the other? Okay, so as you can see from this table, Haiti in 2010 had a lot more deaths than Christchurch, a lot more people homeless than Christchurch. Homeless means that a lot more homes are destroyed, right? Okay, and a lot more housing and building has been destroyed as compared to Christchurch. Why are there such differences? So for 4 marks, you're supposed to pick up 2 reasons from here, okay, to explain. All right, so this is an earthquake hazard, so we will skip the volcanic hazards and then we will go to the earthquake hazards, okay. So earthquake, you have learned that there's multiple factors that can affect that is due to the nature of hazard, the exposure, as well as the vulnerability, okay. Please don't mind me, the lines are not aligned properly in my version here, okay, because and it was going through with my class. All right, so disaster risk means that what the chance of a lot of deaths and damages and injuries, right? Okay, so which are the factors from here in the table that is shown in what we have learned? Okay, so you just need to pick 2 of them to explain using the steps that we went through in your textbook to explain why Haiti is a greater disaster than Christchurch. Okay, so pick 2 factors and explain how it leads to more deaths and injuries and destruction. Okay, so so you should give you 2 marks each set and then total 4 marks. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question B is a bit more challenging. Okay, it's a bit more difficult, but it's meant to stretch your understanding. So let's keep pushing. Okay, so you're given the location and characteristics of 2 cities in Mexico, Acapulco and Mexico City. So let's take a look at the map, figure 1.2. You have Mexico City and you have Acapulco. Okay, and you are told that one is built on loose sediments saturated with water and one is built on solid rock. So they really give you some ideas already. All right, what else can we see here? We have a scale here to us to estimate distance. We have 2 separate plates here, okay, and then based on the arrow is a convergent plate boundary, and then there's a subduction zone. So it probably means that the Cocos plate, being oceanic plate, is likely to be subducting at the North American plate over here, okay, and hence maybe this is why there can be earthquakes over here. All right, so let's take a look at the question. If an earthquake were to start at epicenter A, using information from figure 1.2, identify the city that has a greater disaster risk. So epicenter A, you have this city over here, Acapulco, and you have this city here, Mexico City. If you were to estimate what is the distance from epicenter, okay, then is that a possible way, is that a possible factor that caused one place to be more affected by the earthquake, to have more damage, more injuries? Okay, if not, then what other factors over here? Okay, what other factors that you have learned from the notes can be used to apply to here to decide which is more likely to face disaster, a greater disaster? Okay, so once identify the city, use that factor to explain. So 3 marks, only 1 factor, just give it a bit more detailed steps and make sure you use information from the figure. Okay, so account means explain. So if you choose one of the city, please explain your choice. What is it that the city has from one of these over here? Okay, from the map, what is it that the city has that makes it more likely to have a greater disaster, and which factor is it? Link it to the factor and explain. Okay, so that will be part 1. Then part 2, let's look at the part 1. Part 3, if you were to start at B, identify the city that's greater risk of tsunami. Okay, so B is here, which is at the greater risk of the tsunami hazard. All right, you have learned about disaster hazards, tsunami, right? Okay, so which is a greater, which one is greater risk of tsunami? Then same thing, 3 marks. Tell me why that place is more greater risk of tsunami. Okay. Lastly, explain one way, if it's epicenter B, explain one way the human system at Mexico City will be impacted differently from the human systems at Acapulco. All right. So this is a rather difficult question. For 4 marks, you're supposed to give one way. Okay. So if it's an epicenter B, the question already established that there's tsunami. Okay, you can use the scale to determine if the tsunami will reach Mexico City. Okay, so you can think about what hazards will reach Acapulco, what hazards will reach Mexico City, and then link it to the effects on human system. Okay, so that means you cannot just tell me there's a lot of death and injury, you cannot tell me there's a lot of damage, you must go on to further impacts. Okay, so if you look at your earthquake notes, right, there's further impacts on the economy, further impacts on the society. You must reserve the last 1 to 2 marks out of 4 to link to that. Okay, so I hope you have greater clarity on how to do the question. Please complete them before we meet you. See you.